Hey everybody, it's Missy again. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2018 February Hip Kits for this layout. And I'm going to use this paper as my background. It's from Pink Fresh Studio, and I think it is so cool. It's so different, and the color is really pretty. It's kind of a cross between orange and a deep coral color. And I had this idea of mixing in some deep pinks and some light blue slash turquoise colors. I don't even know where that color scheme came from. It just popped into my head, and I thought, I'm going to try to make that happen. And so I'm going to use 3 small pictures, black and white, and they're of me and my daughter just cuddling on the couch. I have so many types of these little fun selfies with the girls, and those are my favorite types of pictures to scrap just because they're everyday moments. So anyway, this layout is going to take some twists and turns, and it's going to look totally different than the image I had in my head. Now I'm going to definitely add some mixed media to this, and so I'm using white gesso to create a little bit of more of a white space down at the bottom, and also to give the paper a little bit of grit, and it's going to allow me to add lots of water. It's going to allow me to do lots of blending and smudging, and it's not going to soak right through the paper. So I'm starting with the dilutions that we get in the color kit this month, and it's a bright pink. It's very bright, and I think it is so pretty. And I'm going to pull some things from previous color kits. I can't remember which color kit all of these came from, but this little pink pot that I'm using there, that's a Shimmers, and it's called Berry Hot. We got that a few color kits ago. This is the Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide. We got that a few color kits ago as well. And I'm just trying to get some different pinks going on here. I'm using the packaging technique. I'm going to use my brush a little bit. I'm going to use some splatters. And I'm going to just spray it down with some water and just let it blend and run together. I think that's a really fun technique to do. And since I've added the gesso, it can stand the water. And also the Pink Fresh Studio pattern paper is pretty thick. And so I think it handled all the stuff I'm going to do to it. It handled it really, really well, and there was minimal warping, if any. So I'm going to pull the grapefruit creamies and mix it in with the spiced marmalade distress oxide. Again, all of these have been in previous color kits. I'm just trying to get some variation in color here and try to make a really fun, messy, splotchy background. And I love how this is looking so far. Now, when these colors dry, they were a little bit lighter than I wanted, and so to fix that, you just go back over it with more. And that's the beauty of this type of thing, is you really can't mess it up. You just keep adding layer of color on top of layer of color, and it just gets more and more bold. And if you blot it up right away, it tends to be a little bit lighter. Sometimes if you let it air dry, it may dry a little more true to color. But this is so fun to me. It's just relaxing to make a mess like this and to keep adding color and splattering here and using the brush here and just making a random splotch of color. I think it's so much fun. And these distress oxides are awesome, and blended with this the delight. I can't even speak today. I was gonna say the dilutions pink ink spray. They just work together very nicely, and they spread, they blend. When I added the water, it kind of just moved on the paper, and then I mixed in the shimmers with it. It all just works so well together, and I love how this looks. Now here's where I sort of decided to get a little bit bold. I love how it looks as is. Part of me wishes I would have just left it with these 2 colors, the pink and the coral. But no, I decided to add in some bluish colors. So I think it turns out good. This is white acrylic paint from my stash, and I just kind of blended it in with the cracked pistachio and the peacock feathers distress oxide, just to give the paint a little bit of blue color. And I like how this looks. It's different. This is just a palette knife, and I'm just going to get some on the palette knife and smudge it down like you're going to put some butter on a biscuit, just very lightly smudge it. And then I'm just kind of dab it along so I get some of the lines that the palette knife has, just to add some texture here. And I think this turns out really cool. And in the end, I really like the addition of the blue color, because I wanted to use the blue, in the beginning. I was inspired by that light blue color and those epoxy hearts over there on the Pink Fresh Studio. So let me show you something here. Do you see that big pink splotch? That's an area where I did not cover the paper with gesso. And do you see how the ink went right through to the back of the paper and the rest of it did not? A lot of people ask me why I use gesso. Here's a very good example of that. All that water that I added, everywhere there was gesso, it did not soak through the paper. But the little areas where I did not add the gesso, you could see the pink. It soaked right through immediately. So that's just a little example there of what gesso can do for your paper, whether it's clear or white. Okay, so here comes the play around portion of this layout, trying to decide how the pictures are going to go, if I'm going to make them straight, if I'm going to make them crooked, am I going to stagger them, am I going to put them in a straight line, what am I going to do? I do know that I'm going to add some tissue paper, so I go ahead and do that. And I struggle with this design. I don't know if I had too many pictures or what, because they were pretty small, but I didn't want to cover up a lot of that background. I spent so much time making it. I know it didn't seem like a lot of time because I sped it up and cut some of it out, but I just love it. I think it's so pretty, and you know, that's the nature of this type of stuff on a scrapbook layout, is it's going to get covered up a little bit. But sometimes I love it so much and I'm sad to cover it. And so I struggle with, you know, how and where to put the pictures in relation to other embellishments and where are they going to go. And yeah, so I just spent a while trying to figure that out. I'm going to go through a lot of embellishments here. I'm definitely going to use some of the flower clusters from the Paige Evans Pick Me Up chipboard sheets. Now that camera I cut out from a Project Life card, and I don't remember if that was my last video or the one before that, but I previously cut that out for another layout and I did not use it. So it's going to go on this page. Yeah, so I'm just going to play around here and try some of the wood veneer. I'm going to try some of those Amy Tan puffy stickers. I really wanted to use those for my title just because I hadn't used any of those yet. And to create some dimension like I usually do, I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind the pictures, and that's just cheap craft kids adhesive foam from the craft aisle at Walmart. And it's got sticky on one side, and it's really awesome for scrapbooking. I used some Project Life cards to back 2 of the photos. So now I've got a pop of yellow going on, and then I added a turquoise one or an aqua one behind the picture on the left. I am going to wind up using some of the Paige Evans Pick Me Up rub-ons, but I'm not quite sure yet. And you know, with rub-ons, make sure, because once you rub them on, they are down. So I took some time off, took a break, came back, and decided to try to flip my paper, you know, the other direction and see how it would look if I did a vertical design. And I wind up liking it. I'm going to go with Fantastic Times as my title because I wanted to use those Amy Tan words. And then I kind of struggled again for a while on, do I make my photos crooked? Do I put them in a straight line? I finally decided this picture's going here, put the rub-on down and make it work. So I did that. And one thing that I was noticing is, I know I talk about this a lot in my layouts, is the bottom picture. Do you see how my daughter is looking to the left? Well, I want to situate that photo to where she's looking at something. So this is how I'm going to wind up doing it. She's looking across at the picture above her. I can't handle it. Well, I don't want to say I can't handle it. It just drives me nuts on my layouts. If I have the person in the photo looking off the page, if they're looking to the side, I want them looking across the page, or they need to be looking at something. And so I needed to put that picture somewhere where it looked like she was looking at something. And so I decided to go with this design, and it's totally different. In my mind, I was going to have the layout turned the other direction and the pictures were going to go in a straight line across the bottom. And that didn't happen. And that's okay, because I love how this turned out. And it's kind of fun because even though the lines and the paper are horizontal, my design is vertical. And I don't know if that even is breaking any rules. And I don't really care because like I said, I think it looks cool. So I'm adding in some thread. I've got some pink, some coral, some light blue. And this winds up turning into sort of a rainbow color scheme. Definitely different than the image in my mind because Fantastic is more on the green side, Times is more on the yellow-green side, and then I've got multiple colors going on in these flower clusters, and so I just decided to go with it and, you know, add all kinds of colors in here, and that's okay too. I like it when, you know, you try something different, just something as simple as turning the background paper a quarter of a turn, and you wind up liking it too. And so it's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. Now, I'm going to add glue to everything, even though these are stickers and they have sticky on the back, because when gesso is in play, nothing wants to stick to it. And so always add glue to everything if you are using anything that has grit to it, because things will not stick. So the camera is going to go right down there at the bottom, and I'm going to add in a little bit of detail rub-on action here. These are just some of the little frames from the Paige Evans Pick Me Up rub-ons, and I'm going to use those in a couple spots. And I've got quite a bit of the flower clusters. Some of them are the chipboard and some of them are the rub-ons. And yeah, I love these little rub-ons. They're so great. They rub on perfectly, even over the gesso. That's a very, very good thing about rub-ons, because sometimes the background plays a big part in how they look, and they went on beautifully over that gesso and the paint. I'm going to use this little yellow piece that says Stay Golden. And again, it's just for another little pop of yellow. Since I've got yellow going on, I thought I would kind of spread that out across the page. And I wanted to use this deep pink purple moth, but I don't wind up using any of those. I am going to use this little pink Fresh Studio leatherette sticker, You and Me. Yeah, this was fun to go through everything, because I'm sure you have your kits by now, or they should be getting to you very, very soon if you are international. There's so many little tiny details this month. It's so hard to pick and choose. See that sticker sheet? That's the puffy stickers. There's so many on there. It's so hard to to go through them all. And here I'm going to put in some hearts in the little white space area of the photos, and then add some more of those epoxy stickers that I originally started with, because that's what inspired me to go with this color scheme, even though it expanded. So I'm going to add some more of those hearts here and there. And again, it's just going to scatter the colors around, and everything is glued. And I decided to add a little bit of a deeper blue on my mixed media portion of this page. And so I'm just going to water down some of the peacock feathers, and then use my brush and my finger to kind of brush it on, just so it's a little bit bolder than it was. I love the Distress Oxides. They are my new favorite thing to play with. It doesn't matter how you use them. If you use them dry with a foam tool, or if you wet them down and use them as watercolor or the packaging technique, they're amazing in all way, shapes, and form. I'm going to use a couple of these little phrase stickers on the Pink Fresh Studio sticker sheets. I love that phrase. It says, "Forever is composed of nows." And I was like, you know what? That's perfect for a random everyday moment, because those little random everyday moments make up forever. And I thought, that is the coolest quote. I need to make a layout with that as a big title. I think that's really cool. So one of the last things I'm going to do is add my journaling, and I think that is it. I didn't do any stitching on this layout. I just didn't feel like it needed it anywhere. But I love how it turned out. I love the colors. I'm so glad I added in more colors and went with the bright, bold color scheme. And I think this was really fun. I had a good time making it, even though it turned out totally different. And I experimented. I tried things this way and that way, and finally figured out how I liked it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the process, and I hope you are enjoying your kits. Let me know if you have any questions about anything that I did, or any of the products, anything at all. I'll be more than happy to answer you. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great week, and I will see you next time.